Hey, what's good, self-direct investors? I hope you're doing great, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jordan, and I am the mind behind Make More Capital, the financial education brand that hopes to make everyone a little bit more financially literate. And today we're going to cover the total Canadian sales increase for the month of August 2020. So we are now October 21st, and the numbers have just come out for August for Canadian sales, and they have hit a total of 245 million. So I'm going to keep this video short and sweet compared to some of my other ones, but this is going to go off of the one I made recently that covered the Ontario Cannabis Store's recent quarterly progress overview of their time from April to June sales. But anyways, before I start, just want to say that if you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do so, as I am as I'm gearing to focus on the cannabis niche as the expansion happens in Canada and more people want to learn how to invest in the industry to get exposure and eventually make some money. As the industry grows over time, because now it's legal in Canada. The other thing is, if you do enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a like. It really helps out my channel a lot. And last thing, if you've not opened your self-directed tax-free savings account, there's a link below to Questrade, which is Canada's #1 discount broker. I've been using them for 2 years. They're a great platform, and if you sign up with that link, you get some free money to make your first trades with, and you can always reach out to me. And I'll help you navigate the platform and educate you on how you can look through it, navigate it, buy and sell your first ETF, and eventually grow your financial literacy skills from there. So without further ado, we're going to jump in. Ontario drives Canadian cannabis sales 6% higher in August to 245 million. So if you've watched any of my YouTube series, Reality Check Cannabis in 2020, for episode 4, I cover the top Canadian cannabis companies. But then it's in episode 7, the one I just released on a case study to Canada's legalization, where I actually dove into some of these figures. Now, I just want to show you and give you an idea just for some context, and then we'll run through the numbers. So in that video, I mentioned that in May, the total sales this is the province of Ontario, were 41 million. And then in June, the total sales went up to 48 million. And this was after in April, there were 18 stores added, so they got to this total. Then in May, when 26 stores were added, they made this much money in June. So my thought was that at the rate of opening more stores, and because Ontario plans to open 40 more stores a month, as they mentioned here on September 29th, 2020, that will increase the expansion and the revenue growth for these companies over time. So what I did was I did 2 estimates of what would happen if Ontario sales numbers grow by 7 million a month, and if they grow by 10 million a month. And so the first number meant that if sales continue to grow by 7 million every single month, so they add on by 7 million, we could see June 2021 sales of 125 million. And if they grow by 10 million a month, which obviously means more sales due to this expansion, this is a more optimistic projection, we could see 168 million sales in Ontario alone for June 2021. And this is just the way I see it, is that I see the real opportunity in the next few years. As in 2018, we saw the stock prices rise up, then the bubble popped and they all went all the way back down. And that was my learning curve. I've been learning and paying attention for the since 2017, November. So that's just why I want to share what I see, and hopefully it might help any curious self-direct investors take advantage. But then this was the thing I wanted to add as a bonus. All these provinces, every single province in Ontario saw an increase from June to July. And just for that reason, I'm going to jump back to where we were. So Ontario drives Canadian cannabis sales 6% higher to 245 million in August. So the nice thing we can see is that they released the sales for the country this morning. It sucks because I wanted to add them into my episode 8, which is coming out this Sunday, and I did not have the ability since I recorded that on Monday. But what's good is that, so here's how you want to think about it. Total Canadian sales from June to July rose 15%. Okay? And so total Canadian sales from July to August was not nearly as high. And in my episode 8 series, I make a projection of growing by 10% a month. And unfortunately, the growth was only 6%. So again, that's why I make these estimates, but I will provide all the links to all of this down below so that you can check them out and follow along over the next 6 months, year, 2 years going forward. But the great thing is that the 6% month over month for Canada's total, it's actually up 94% from a year ago, which means they're on the pace that they're doing. Could be better if they open more stores faster, but there's still going to be a lot of growth going forward. So it details how Ontario, which grew by 11%. So that's one thing I wanted to just find before we go back to it, is that Ontario sales numbers did grow by 11%, which is in between our 7,000 to 10,000 a month, which is nice. So yeah, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but this is the good snapshot outlook to see from legalization, the day or the month of legalization, October 18th, or October 2018 up until August 2020. We've seen the growth grow from 50 million in revenue for all of Canada to just under 245 million in revenue. And that was with, again, only 25 stores in Ontario. That's why the numbers were so dismal for so long at the beginning. And now with that expansion, we are seeing this growth come. The other thing I wanted to show you is, I'll jump over to this page in a moment, but most of the cannabis sales are coming from yellow, the flower, 18% pre-rolls, and 15% vapes. As we can see, the top selling category is flower, pre-rolls, and vapes. And I just want to bring this up right now because if we jump over to the OCS reports, it tells us the same thing. Dried flower, vapes, and pre-rolls are where companies are making the most money. And that's why I say, unfortunately, Canopy Growth invested heavily in the beverages. They don't sell very well, so I do not see their future outlook for beverages looking very good at all. And it doesn't help with tight regulations, but that is a reality, that these are the top 3 selling products. And so the companies that are specializing in dried flower, vapes, and pre-rolls and generating the most sales will likely have the most success going forward. And the other reason why I wanted to show this is just because in the final episode, I do cover Aphria, Canopy Growth, and Aurora's final earning reports. Or not final earnings, but their most recent Q1 2021 earnings reports. And as you can see in here, Aphria's Q4 2020 total net cannabis revenue was 53 million, up to 62 million, and this is for the recreational adult use market in Canada. So from 53 to 62, that is a 23% gain for Aphria alone. That is huge. Aphria released these earnings on October 15th, so it just goes to show that from their previous quarter earnings in the summer, they increased sales by 23%. That's massive, because when you compare that to Canopy, whose adult recreational revenue fell by 11%, and when you compare it to Aurora's, whose adult recreational fell by 3%, just goes to show that Aphria's brands are gaining more market share, which is again why I think Aphria is the best investment opportunity going forward, just because their market cap is so low compared to what they will likely be doing in the future. So you have a greater margin of safety by getting into Aphria at a price that is either below where they're at now or somewhat reasonable for return on investment in the future. Now, nonetheless, I'm going to jump back into this page though, because this is what we see for August 2020. So all of Canada did go up from 232 million to 244 million. And if we look at each province, sales in Newfoundland did go up. They increased. Sales in PEI increased. Nova Scotia increased. New Brunswick increased. Quebec increased. Ontario, again, because of 40 more stores. And actually, you know what? We can jump back here and see that. So in June, 23 more stores were open. So this was likely accounted for the 23 extra stores. So just think about when 40 stores are opening, we will see at least a consistent 6 million growth in sales, or a little bit more, likely between that 7 to 10 million when 40 stores are opened as opposed to 23. But so just to compare it to what the prediction that I made, growth by 7 million or growth by 10 million. Now, unfortunately, it was a little bit under. It was at 6 million. But again, I just stress that this is because only 23 stores were opened in June. So again, as 40 stores are continuously opening going forward as of October, that's where we're going to see, hopefully, that jump from 7 million to 10 million. We should see the sales figures within that range at least. And I just think that's great to know and great projection going forward, because, again, this is a brand new industry that's created out of nothing. How many times have you heard people say, oh, I wish I invested in Amazon earlier. I wish I would have known to invest in Apple when they were worth very low price. This is the same idea. It's just a different industry. Obviously, it's not as high growth as tech, but there's still going to be a ton of growth because, again, this is just a shift in perspective. There are so many different uses for cannabis, recreationally, medicinal, but nonetheless, I just wanted to check in on the growth that I'm mentioning in my series. But Manitoba, sales increased. Saskatchewan, sales increased. Alberta, they increased. British Columbia increased. Yukon sales numbers were pretty much the same. Northwest Territories, they increased. So again, it just goes to show that every single province is seeing an increase, which is huge. And so it's just nice to see that from July 230 million up to 244, so pretty much 245 million in August. Now, again, I just wanted to come on here and give that quick snapshot. One last thing I will show you as well is that this is how much of the legal market Ontario has so far, because they did such a terrible job starting out opening so few stores. This is what they seek to gain. 74% of the market by opening more stores, competing with the black market by selling cheaper cannabis, and bringing illegal purchases into the legal market, which again would benefit the government, benefits these licensed producers, and benefits investors over the long run. If you have the savings to invest and the patience to wait for those for that investment to come to fruition. So I just wanted to go through these numbers quickly since they came out and I did not get to add them into episode 8. So I do invite you to watch episode 8, that it will come out this Sunday, but I just wanted to provide all this info. And what did you think? Do you think that Canada is on pace to continue growing because of the store expansion? Please leave any comments below, especially if you're an interested investor. I'm happy to help out and answer any questions as someone that has just paid attention to this industry and self-educated myself along the way. But that being said, if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please make sure that you subscribe or leave a like on my video. That helps the channel out a lot. And that being said, episode 8 will be out this Sunday, and I'll be back next week, likely for another ETF breakdown. But as well, if you have any suggestions for videos, please make sure you leave them down below, and I'll be happy to do my best to put them out for you as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, everybody.